What does it mean to you when you become a parent? And what does it mean when life changes so drastically and now you are no longer responsible for yourself and your significant other, but you are responsible for raising a little one, a little boy, a little girl? What does it do to your psyche, and how do you approach it? How do you know that the decisions you're making as a parent are the right decisions? The only way I can answer that for you, in short, is there's no right or wrong way to parent. There is no book, there is no guideline, there is no set structure on how to be a parent and how to be a good parent and what is exactly the proper way of raising your child. The only thing I can tell you is that from the time that you were a child, you were learning from your parents how to best raise your children. And as you go through that process as an individual and you grow up from being a baby to a toddler to a juvenile to a teenager into an adult, you learn from your experiences with your parents what it is and what it means to be a parent and how to go about being a parent. Now, you also have to take in consideration that your parents were not perfect either, and they also did not have a guidebook. As you become a parent, you have to take all these things into consideration. And I think one of the first things that comes to your mind is what are the things that you didn't like as a child while you were being raised by your parents? What are the things that you felt like made you disconnect from your relationship with your parents? Was it they were really strict? Did they yell at you? Did they scold you? Were you hit as a child? Maybe it wasn't any of those things, but there was some kind of an emotional or psychological punishment that went along with your wrongdoings. And what you do as you get older and you become an adult is that you subconsciously and consciously consider all of these things as you raise your children. Now, right or wrong, the ways that parents choose to raise their kids is really their choice. Now, there are laws that says you can and can't do certain things as a parent to your child when it comes to discipline. Um, my childhood alone, I can tell you that as you know, I love my parents, but a lot of questionable things happened as I was growing up. Like yes, I did get hit with wooden spoons. Yes, I did get hit with belts. Um, yes, I did get hit with hands. Yes, I got yelled at a lot. There were times that I got disciplined by being left on the side of the road. There were times where my sister and I were left to fight each other in order to resolve an issue because one of my parents had decided that they had had enough. None of those things that I just listed are things that I have done with either one of my boys. I have chose to take a different action when it comes to setting up boundaries and for discipline. I can tell you that there are two schools of thought to the way that I was raised. Now, one was that you had a healthy fear of your parents because you weren't scared to do what you did wrong, but you were scared of the repercussions of what you did that was wrong. So that alone made you think as a child, it made you second think everything as to whether or not what you were just about to do or what you were just about to think about doing. You weighed the option as to whether or not it was worth the risk. The scolding, the not even timeouts. We were grounded when I was a kid. We didn't get timeouts. Any of those other things seemed like small discipline. Losing your video games, not being able to go out on the weekend, which, to be fair, I didn't really get to go out on the weekend anyway. My tasks were that I was going to be helping my dad do something around the house every weekend, and I might get a few hours to myself, but chances are I was going to be tied up most of that day helping him. But those are things that I chose not to do when it came to my boys. I didn't hit either one of my boys, obviously one of them being 2.5, would never ever even think about it. And my oldest, I just chose to take a different route, and I just chose to be stern but understanding. I chose to set the guidelines by correcting the actions when they happened. And that's kind of the same course that I take with the youngest. If you correct it while it happens, and they learn in real time that that kind of behavior is not acceptable. And you don't have to take it to the extreme that earlier generations had, like my parents. And I just think that by doing things that way, what it does is it gives you an opportunity to start building that relationship with your kids, so that as they get older, they don't fear you and they're not scared to come tell you anything, because they're not scared of what the consequences are going to be for you telling them. We have to keep in mind that kids are going to make mistakes, and they're going to make mistakes more times than we can probably count. As toddlers, as juveniles, as teenagers, like, they're going to make some bad decisions. And what I think we have to understand, and what sometimes we lose track of as parents, is that we also made dumb decisions when we were kids. But you have to make dumb decisions. You have to fail or make mistakes at different times so that you can genuinely learn from it. That's part of being alive, part of being human, is learning from our mistakes. If we don't learn from our mistakes, then we can't fix them. As a parent, you learn from your mistakes as, a worker or a business owner or whatever else, and we learned how to be parents and the mistakes that they made from our parents. With that said, what are the things that you wish you did better as a parent? What are the things, looking back at your time as a parent, for those listeners that are older than me, or my age, because my oldest is 19 years old. But what are the things you wish you had done differently? For me, the main thing that I wish I had done differently was try to get a different job. With this new one, I get to be home more, and I get to be more a part of my little guy's life, so I miss less. And it allows me to build a better, stronger, more grounded relationship with the little guy that I was able to do with my oldest. My oldest, I worked, 40 plus hours every single week, and by the time I got home, it was dinner time, and then, they're getting ready for bed and whatever else. So it was different, and for a good portion of my oldest's life, when I had him, it was primarily me that was doing all of, like, the raising and stuff, because I was a single dad. I did have some individuals that came in and out of my life, during that time, but for the most part, I did it on my own. So it wasn't the easiest thing that I could have done. I just, as a father, I think I was a little bit lost from my oldest's mom and I separating, and not really sure how to handle all of the responsibilities that I now had to try to figure out on my own. And now, with the little guy, his mom and I are engaged, and I dare to say that it's probably one of the strongest, not probably, it is one of the strongest, most loving. We communicate so well, like, all the things that I didn't see my parents do real well. Like, my parents argued and they got along, but, like, they didn't really do much. We didn't really do much as a family, like, we didn't go on vacations together, really. When we were younger, yes, but not so much as we got older. We just didn't do things that typical families do for bonding, and I wanted to be able to instill that now. And because I have Audrey as a part of my life, and she sees things very similar as I do when it comes to the family structure and things that we think are important within that dynamic, we try to instill that now. And even with my oldest son, we try to instill that in him as well. And one of the things that I wish we had done sooner is at 6 o'clock, we all put our phones down, and we don't pick them back up until the little guy goes to bed. And we use that time so that all of us can be together. We use that time to, me or Audrey will use that time to work on our social media platforms, and my oldest uses that time to read. and you know, whichever one of us isn't working on our social media stuff hangs out with the little guy, or even sometimes we just all hang out together. And I think that that's important because it builds that dynamic of family and what family's about. And the other thing that is super important is that Audrey's family is pretty close. They do a lot of things together, and it's not just, you know, her family, like her parents and her siblings, but it's, you know, her grandmother and her aunts and her uncles and her cousins, and Audrey's family is really close. So even her cousins, you know, like they all know each other and they all try to do things together. And I think that that is incredibly important because my family was not like that. And my oldest's mom's family really isn't like that. So we're able to bring back a sense of family and what family is about, and understanding that family bond. And to me, it is incredibly important, you know. And the last family thing we went to, Audrey's aunt was asking me about just about some stuff, and I had said to her, I go, you know, like one of the times that I really look forward to every year now is Christmas Eve, and a lot of that has to do with Audrey's family all gets together on Christmas Eve. They all hang out. We have a big dinner, and we just hang out and laugh and play games and joke, and my family never did that. My family did a traditional Italian Christmas Eve, but that was it. We didn't really do anything else throughout the year. Where the Christmas Eve thing with Audrey's family is like the icing on the cake for the year. And I think it's, you know, like those things are really important because Cameron gets to see all that. He gets to be a part of it. He gets to understand, you know, who his cousins are, and how deep the family really runs, and it gives him an opportunity to make connections with other people in his family where maybe, you know, like they can raise their kids together, and build exactly what Audrey's family has. You know, they grew up in this area that we live in, and they all kind of live in the same general area with a few spackled here and there, but like for the most part they're all close enough where they can get together. And I think that's pretty important. I think when children have a family that's that close knit, I think it takes the struggle off of being a parent. I think it takes the struggle off of being able to, you know, keep your kid in line as far as being respectful and learning good morals and all of those things, because they have to now be worried that their family is going to see them. You know, when they make these mistakes in public or are out screwing around or doing any of those things, there's a lot of family around them. And I think that's important, you know, like I think that's now what to me was the healthy fear of the repercussions for somebody who has that much family around them. I think what it now becomes is a healthy fear of getting caught because you have so much family around. I think that as a dad, it kind of puts my mind at ease a little bit. And I think it's really important that we have those, they're not even security blankets, that family structure is the best way to say it. If you don't have a family structure like that, what is it that you do as a parent when your family is scattered more and you don't have everybody close to you to be able to have those bonds? Like, how do you hold that family structure together and still be able to help keep your kid within boundaries? It's hard, you know, like speaking as somebody who, like I said, you know, spent a good time raising my son on my own. It was hard, you know, because with going through a divorce, his mom live in one place, me live in someplace else, being able to instill a good sense of respect and boundaries and right from wrong and all of that kind of stuff is much easier when you have both parents together, is much easier when they're in the same house, you know, because then there's, from a child's standpoint, I think they see a sense of unity. I think they see that you are working together as a team to do the best that you can for them. And you know, not that his mom and I didn't do the best we could on our own individual means, but like I say that because I think at times we didn't communicate as well as we should have, and we weren't in tune with what each other was doing as well as much as we are now. And I think it probably could have made things a little bit easier when he was younger. I don't know. You know, Ian didn't turn out bad. He didn't, you know. He's a smart kid. He's respectful. He's all of those things. I just think that some of the things that he struggles in probably would have ended up better if his mom and I had just communicated better when he was younger. And to be fair, like with me being as lost as I was at that time, maybe I wasn't as focused on it as I should have been. And that's just the reality of it. That's me as a parent understanding where I may have failed during the process. So with that said, I did start up the dad son community. I started the Instagram page and I'm starting to work on promoting that, and I think that that platform is going to be phenomenal. I say that because I think that moms do such a great job at communicating and joining other moms groups to be able to talk about the struggles of being a mom and postpartum and all those things. I don't think dads do a good job of it. I think that dads could probably talk more. I think that we bury a lot of stuff. And I think that when we bury that much stuff and bury some of our struggles and our pain and our hardships and all of those things, I think it has a lasting effect. And I think it kills us early. I think there's definitely studies that show that stress and anxiety and the weight of the things that we bury in our closet, and I say closet, because it's the general term. I like to call it a filing cabinet when it comes to men, because we just take things and stick it in a folder and lock it away like a vault and pretend that things don't bother us. But the reality of it is that we let a lot of stuff bother us, and it manifests itself at different times in life in manners that it probably doesn't need to. And because we do these things, it puts us in a position where we don't handle things well. We lash out at times. We have short fuses at times. We sometimes direct our anger towards our kids, towards our spouse, towards whatever. And I think a good community where not just dads, but sons, because sons are your future dads. I think a community where we can get together and everybody can talk about the challenges and talk about the shit that we carry, and just to be able to say, you're not alone. I struggled with that too. This is how I handled it. I wish I had done it better, because we can all admit that foresight is one thing, hindsight is something else. And we always, as humans, look back at decisions we made and wish that we had made a better one. And that's why I wanted to leave this community open to people of all ages, 60-year-old dads, 40-year-old dads, 30-year-old dads, 20-year-old dads, 18-year-old kids, anybody that wants to join, because we all have struggles and we all need to find a way to be able to cope and deal with it. And nobody in a community like this is going to judge, because we all carry our own stuff. Nobody is perfect. And it's not about judging somebody. It's about helping shine some light and guiding them so that they know that they aren't alone, that they're not the only ones who feel these certain things, that they are not only the only one who has walked that path, that these things happen to all of us. I dare to say that there's anything comes up in this community that somebody hasn't seen, dealt with, or faced during their life, I would be surprised. In my lifetime, I have had to deal with alcohol, drugs, infidelity, indiscretions from adults with children. God, people getting into accidents, people getting hit by cars. I've seen a lot. I've been a part of a lot. I have helped people get through a lot. I want to do this because at the times when I really needed some kind of something to help me through it, where I felt like somebody would understand what it was that I was carrying, I didn't know of anything. We also didn't have social media when I was a kid, so there wasn't all the outlets that there are now. There are a lot of outlets out there for men, but they are more outlets that teach you how to be more of a man and how to be successful. But men are weak, and men can be soft, and men can feel like their world is crashing in. And we are taught that we are to put our big boy pants on and pick up our battle axe and go back to war. The best warriors and the best heroes and the strongest people in this world know that they can be all those things, but the thing that makes them stronger, more dominant, more confident, more aware, more understanding, better at communicating is by cleaning out that file cabinet and facing the things that you don't want to face and dealing with the things that you don't want to deal with, because it makes you a better person when you do it. So please, if you have the time and you're something that you're interested in, jump on Instagram. The Brewed for Life podcast has the link for, it's called dad_son_community. Check it out. It's just getting started. I have to work on a few other things, like maybe putting together a web page and scheduling some times for those that join to be able to jump on either a Zoom call or something of that sort, where we can all just kind of say hi and get introduced and work as a team to figure out what's the best way that we can work together to be able to sort through all this stuff. If any of the moms or daughters or whoever that listen to this podcast, if you know somebody that you know is hiding some stuff and burying some stuff and just needs a place where they can be comfortable and talk about those things, have them jump on that page and have them shoot me a DM, and I'd be more than happy to talk to them, jump on a call or whatever it is. Like there's not enough of that. So thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to look at the social media outlets, like I said, the Dad Son community, Baines Brewing, the Brewed for Life podcast, all on Instagram. Also, feel free to check out, I partnered with Raise the Standard, a great apparel program, also based in Connecticut. Their apparel just says everything that this podcast resonates with, and I've been posting a lot of the stuff on the social media page, so check that out. I appreciate you guys listening very much, and we'll talk to you real soon.